big enough to be really awkward. I don't weigh enough to make that lay down easy. Whoa! What did I hit? I hit something. Something in the concrete there. Hey guys, I'm Evan. Welcome to Country View Acres. So today I came out here, I've cleaned off the grain bin pads. This is where I feed the hay to the steers. I've got all that wasted hay and manure. I've got that pushed off the pads, and I've pushed it off to this side because it's about a foot drop off. That pad is very tall on this side. And I don't know, kind of hoping that maybe over time it will build up and help fill that in. You know, it'll take a few years. But I'm getting ready to bring hay out to them so I can feed them another round bale, but I want to modify the hay spear before I do that. I've had a lot of people comment that my hay spear, when I built it, I should have built it differently. And I believe that a lot of those commenters were correct. So today we're going to modify the hay spear, try to make it the way people suggested I do it. And then we'll come out here, we'll bring them a bale, we'll see how well it works. I didn't plan it this way, but when you put the receiver hitch in here, it ends up standing straight up and down. We're pretty close. So in the comments, there was two things they said I did wrong. One, they said I shouldn't have used two spears. And with the two spears, there's actually no issue of picking the bale up, to stab the bale and pick it up. But once you get a hold of it, it does not want to just easily slide off. The only way to get it, I struggle trying to get a bale to set off nice and even. I normally have to tilt it way down and use gravity in my favor to be able to get bales to slide off. And I think that's just because there's two of them, and it's definitely causing a lot more drag. It grabs that bale a lot tighter. So we are going to go down to one bale spear on here. So the other issue was that I mounted my spears at the very top of the frame. And that means even if I'm dragging the ground, I've got to grab that bale a couple feet high. And that doesn't allow me to grab low on the bale. In fact, I normally have to grab the upper half of the bale. So what I want to do is I'm going to do one spear, and we're going to put it like right here in the middle. Now, when you normally put one spear in there, you need some type of a stabilizer, a couple small short spikes, about 12 inches long, just to kind of poke into the bale and keep it from shaking side to side. So I've got a piece of 3-inch square tube, 1/4 inch thick. That's pretty heavy stuff right there. That's what the bale spear will mount to. And then we have the actual mounting point. This is what the bale spear will go into and bolt to. So I just need to drill a hole in the center of this so I can weld this inside. So I've got this clamped to my old Delta drill press, and this thing turns really slow, which will probably be good for this. Use a little tapping fluid. Getting fairly close. There we go. punch a hole through the other side and flip it over. Okay. There we go. All right, and it fits. Probably space this up a little bit and weld it in. I'm gonna go ahead and take these bale spears out. So now I'm gonna have an extra one. That means I can make a 3-point bale spear to go on the back of the tractor later. Well, not perfect, but it's welded. We don't do perfect here. This piece of tube is just a little bit bigger, so I gotta notch the back of it to fit in there. Now we'll see if this fits in there a little better. I still have this opening right there, which I don't want. Try again. Well, did we notch it enough this time? Yes, we did. We got right there. I wanted it flush on the front if I could, and it is. So now I just need to take some of this paint off so I can weld it in place. Well, at least I notched the right side. I could have put it on backwards. Now, do this without dropping it. That's the key. Oh, I should have locked the wheels. So now I think I'm ready to make the stabilizer spikes. A lot of times people will use like round rod. They'll grind a point on it and then they'll stick it in like a piece of pipe with a bolt through it. And then you can take the bolt out and you can remove it if you want to. Well, I don't have any round rod to make any out of, but what I do have is I have some of this square bar. And this is left over from when we made the manure fork. So I looked around and I had some square tubing that's basically the same size, and you can get it to just fit in there. Now you have to take the corners off, grind the corners off, sand it down a little bit. You can see I've played around with this, and you can get it to go in the square stock. So what I'm thinking is this is what we'll end up doing. I need to put a better point on the end. I think I can do that with a bandsaw and then with the sander a little bit and make a point. And I think we'll just stick a pin or a bolt through that so that it's removable. So I just need to weld these pieces of square tube onto the bale spear on each side, and then I just need to modify these so that they're pointy. So these already have a 45 on the front, and what I'm thinking is if I take the bandsaw and cut off this edge and cut off that edge, I can come to a point. So there we go. We've got 2 stabilizer spikes. They're not perfect, but I think that'll work. So what I want to do now is I want to just get them so they can slide into these square pieces of stock fairly easily, and then go ahead and drill a bolt hole in them, and then we'll go ahead and weld it on. Well, I screwed up. So I tacked this on with the hole in the front because that's actually where I want it to be, toward the front. But when I drilled the hole in this, I put it at the back. So now the holes, hopefully you can tell, the holes do not line up. So I'm going to have to cut out the tack welds and then basically flip this around and then put it back on. And then this will align like it should be. But those tack welds are going to be really hard to reach in there and grind out, so I think I'm going to have to use a die grinder to be able to get in there and get those welds out. So luckily I didn't weld the whole thing out. I checked it after I tacked it in there. Get a couple bolts for that. So on the back of the bale spear, it tapers down, and then there's a couple inches worth of threads, and that taper ensures that it locks in here nice and snug. And then if you want to take these in and out, like on this, we'll want to be able to use the hitch on here. Definitely use anti-seize on the nut, and that'll help make sure that it comes off easier the next time. If not, these will rust on there, and they are very hard to get off. I think I'm going to roll the welding table out to the tractor. It'll be a lot easier. I'll just pick the hay spear up just right off the table. Helps if there's not a piece of metal under the wheel. There we go. All right, there we go. Take the hitch out, don't need that. Well, I don't think the bale spear turned out too bad. Hopefully this is more like what people suggested I do. So now I'll go ahead and grab a round bale and we'll test this out. We'll probably pick it up and put it down a few times just to see how much easier it is. So the top bale was leaning pretty bad, so I decided that I would try to reach back there and grab that one. And I did notice that it, going for the center of the bale, it did actually pick up. It stabbed a lot easier than what it previously would. So it did help having one spear just picking it up. And then just dropping it off, it came out perfectly fine. Like it was just smooth like the way it should be. It was definitely a big difference. I did pick it up and put it down a few times just to test it out, but it's definitely a difference in night and day. Stay upwind. Well, once again, people in the comments were correct. That was the better way to build the hay spear. I think one of the other reasons why it actually works so well is because My round bales, the center is softer. So it's a soft core, and then the outside is dense. So with a single spear, I can ensure that I get into that soft part in the center, and it's easier to slide in and out of the bale. As in when I had the double spear, I ensured that my spears were going to be both in the dense part of the bale, which was harder to get, to stab it, and then it was harder to offload it as well. So I made it, yeah, definitely difficult, I think, on myself. Luckily, the magic of video editing, you don't show those several attempts to finally offload a bale. You kind of just hit the key points when you're editing. Offload, load, offload, and you don't see that. There's sometimes it takes a few times to get it to come off of the bale spear, and yeah, this one's going to work out, I think, a lot better. So I went ahead and laid this down on a canvas drop cloth. I'm going to take the red spears back out so I can paint them red, and then I'll just paint this whole thing black. All right, so what's next on my agenda to do around here? Well, we do have the hay mower to fix. I did get the big spring that was broken. I have it. It looks like it is the correct spring. It looks like I will be able to get it put back together and inside of here. And then I've got a couple other things to do with the mower, and then hopefully it will be back running. I did find a few places on here that are cracked that need welded, so there is a few more things to do to the mower, and I probably save that for next weekend. Hopefully we get some dry time so I can bale that other field in the back, and it would be nice if I got this fixed and I could go straight into cutting hay to be able to test everything out, but the chances of that happening are probably pretty slim. But hopefully in the next video or so we will put this back together, and then hopefully after that sometime we're cutting hay. And yeah, other than that, what else is going on? I've fixed a bunch of stuff around here. I've had a lot of time off of camera fixing things. The hay tedder, both wheels were flat off the rims. I put inner tubes in there. I couldn't find tires for it, so I ended up putting tubes in there. It seems to be fine. It's staying aired up. Lawnmower was broken. Ended up had to clean the whole carburetor. Had a piece of something in the carburetor for some reason. I think that's what the whole problem was. And Rebecca mowed with it the other day. It seems to be fine. Rebecca's car, the brakes went out of it. So I changed the master cylinder on her car. That did not fix it. And then I had to change what they call the brake booster. It goes in between the pedal and the master cylinder, and it is buried in the very back of the engine compartment. It was fun to change out, but her brakes are now working. She was having to use her emergency brake to come to a complete stop. I mean, they just completely went out. They would slow the car down, but they wouldn't stop it. Very dangerous. So I think that's about it. I mean, there's just been a ton of stuff that has broke and has kept me busy here. And yeah, so anyway, that's what's been going on. Probably haven't had as many videos lately just because everything around here has been breaking, and still there's more stuff to fix. I think that's just kind of how it is when you run old equipment and used cars and stuff like that. There's always something to fix. Luckily, I have the capability to be able to fix most of that stuff. So I guess I'm lucky in that aspect. So I think that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully we're cutting hay here soon. Hopefully nothing else breaks. And hopefully we get some hay put away in the barn before wintertime. You can see that the hay storage was a little bit low right now. So definitely need to get some hay cut and put away for winter. But I think that's it for today's video, guys. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.